Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining us again. Hello, Susanna.
Hi, Abram.
So today, we will be discussing a few things about consciousness and a bit about the ego. Basically, how to raise your consciousness. Because everyone, well, not everyone, but most people would like to do that. Some people are just satisfied the way they are, and this is a good thing for them. And they will stay that way, and that is a good thing for them. So, Susanna, how would you like to begin today?
Well, in the last video, we established that there really is no separation between soul and spirit, that we are energy, essence, which takes care of every label that we have for the soul or the spirit.
Absolutely. And labels are not a good thing because they put people in categories and that separates people.
So it limits people.
Absolutely.
And limits what they think of themselves and the possibilities that they could bring into their life.
What do you think of yourself?
I think I'm great.
I do also, but really, what do you think of yourself?
I think of myself as an individual who does not possess a lot of fear about exploring my emotions, my soul, my psychic abilities, the possibilities that are out there. I welcome it all. I try not to put limitations on what I do.
All right. Too many people have fear. Fear of the unknown. If you don't know what is going to happen, what is there to fear? Nothing. Just wait and let it happen. Don't have an expectation, because expectations will keep things from you. They will have things unravel themselves in not such a good way for you. So have no expectation, really, if you can, about anything or anyone. This would be the best way to be. People fear themselves because they do not, most people, not all people, most people, fear themselves because they do not understand themselves. If they were to understand that they are nothing but consciousness, they would have a much easier time in and at their lifetime. What do you have to say?
Well, going along the lines of that, and to underscore that we are an energy essence, that consciousness, soul, spirit, essence, and energy are all the same thing. Correct?
Absolutely, all the same thing. When people stop labeling things, people, ideas, situations, there will be one thing left: an understanding of energy, an understanding of consciousness. Too many people are trying to find consciousness. Where is consciousness? How does it work? What does it mean? I've said this before, I will say it again. If you want to discover consciousness, stop all of that and look into a mirror. Because you are consciousness just the way you are. Now, my definition of consciousness is it is the driving force for all that is alive. And everything is alive. Would you agree with that? Yes or no?
I would absolutely agree with that. And I can't find my question, but what does love have to do with consciousness?
Love, well, let me put it this way. The universe has laws and rules. The primary law of the universe is love, love energy. Now, what is love? Tell me.
I think we have an idea of love here in the physical, but I know for a fact, and I've only had a small taste of it. I know that when we are in non-physical form, that the love we experience and the peace and the non-judgment that happens when we die and we are in spirit form is unimaginable to us. In our physical life, we have self-love, which is not the same as vanity. We have the love of our children and our grandchildren, our parents. We may love our job. We may feel love towards another person, a group of people. We have many different definitions of love, but I don't think that our idea of love in our physical lifetimes even compares to the love that is awaiting us.
You have no idea.
No.
You people have no idea what love is waiting for you. What do you have to do to find that love? A couple of things. You can use meditation. Let go of your physicalness for a time. Become energy, the energy that you are. Because you are not real as a physical human being. You are not real. Reality is not real. I've said this before, I will say it again. Reality is an illusion, which makes you an illusion because you are your reality. It comes from you. Love comes from you. Reality, not the way you know it, but reality as an illusion gives love back to you. When you have love, you have acceptance of the self, complete acceptance of the self, and allowance of the self. You can define love as being not one emotion, but all emotion. Because in love, you can find anger, you can find jealousy, you can find sorrow, sadness, happiness, and all the rest. So love is all emotion. Now, if you want to find more love, not only for yourself, but for other people, for animals, and for your, what you call reality. If you want to find love, accept everything as it is now. And allow everything to be what it is. And with people, allow them to be how they are and what they are. When you have love, you have no judgment. When you have love, you have emotional freedom. Emotional freedom. And you understand that, I've said this before, I will say it again, all emotions are equal because there is only energy. So all emotions are energy. Anger is equal with joy. Sorrow equal with happiness. It is your judgment that will determine what your emotion is at any one given point in time. So what else do you have, my friend?
If consciousness is the fabric of the universe, and speaking about love, is love the driving force of the universe?
Consciousness is the driving force for all that is alive. Love is the driving force of the universe. Absolutely, yes. Now, when you think of consciousness, how long has it been around? There was no beginning. Well, how can there be no beginning to anything? There has to be a beginning, there has to be an ending. No, not really. When you are talking about consciousness, you are talking about a tiny spark of energy that once a long time ago existed somewhere in what you call your universe. The spark of energy wanted to know itself in a more complete form. It allowed itself to, let me put it this way, in a positive way, examine itself, come to terms with itself, and let itself grow into becoming consciousness. You can define consciousness any way you want to. That will be up to you. And all definitions work. They are fine. So as this consciousness began, it again wanted to know itself in a more complete way. There was no Big Bang. It drew all of its self inward. Imagine that there are things around you, and you wanted to become those things. You would draw them into you. You would draw them into you, and you would allow them, you would have them to become a part of you. Now maybe you can understand what I am saying. This happened with consciousness. It drew itself within itself. And then it exploded, became more grand, became more of what it was to be and what it was at that point in time. Wanted to know itself again in a more grand way, did the same thing. Drew itself within itself, exploded. So it was a ping-pong game of implosion, explosion, and then your universe began as potential. Potential. Consciousness is potential. Your reality is potential. You are potential. You know by now there is nothing but energy. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything, everyone, just energy. So that makes everyone, everything, consciousness. So all of you people trying to find consciousness, stop looking. Look into a mirror and you will find consciousness. What else do you have, my friend?
So consciousness is self-aware.
All that, absolutely. It cannot not be. Absolutely.
Some people have the idea that the brain is a filter for consciousness.
Some people think that. Some people believe that. I believe that the brain is a computing mechanism. Period.
It's just part of our physical reality.
Absolutely. You have a computer, you give it an instruction, it gives you a result. Same thing with the brain.
All right, it may be hard for people to understand that.
Probably will be.
And here we go with rocks. The rocks have consciousness. Everything has consciousness.
Everything has consciousness because everything has and is a vibration. Even rocks, even things that you think are not alive, they have their own vibration, which means they have their own consciousness. Everything is about vibration, consciousness, everything.
Is there a difference between vibration and frequency?
Vibration will create a frequency. A frequency will create another vibration. They go hand in hand.
Okay. When we've all experienced what's called road hypnosis or highway hypnosis. It's also called, what do they call it? White line fever or something like that. We're in an altered state of consciousness when that happens, when we are functioning behind the wheel of a car, where we can still function and drive and know what's going on around us, but we are somewhere else and we go from point A to point B, not knowing how we got there, basically. Not remembering going from point A and point B.
People get that way. When they drive their automobiles or their trucks, they get that way. It does not mean that they are bored of driving. They just, and this happens all day long to all people from time to time in your day, they slip into an altered state of consciousness. You can't take consciousness and break it down into many variations of itself if you would like to do that. However, I would suggest don't try to do that. You might drive yourself crazy. Just think of consciousness as a very simple idea, because everything is just an idea, everything. Consciousness, energy, reality, you, everything is an idea. Nothing else exists but ideas. Ideas will take themselves and become variations of themselves, which is what consciousness does when you are driving your automobile. Don't know how you got from point A to point B. Oh my God, how did I get here safely? You are always aware of what you are doing, always. You are always aware of what you are doing, always. No matter what state of being, what state of consciousness you are in. You are always aware. So don't be afraid to drive your automobile. You'll be just fine. But as you people say, keep an eye out. Because there are, and I say this in a positive way, good drivers, not so good drivers. So just take care as you drive your automobile. And I know you all will.
When I was a child, I used to sleepwalk. And remembering the times that my mother woke me up, I was, and I'm assuming this is also an altered state of consciousness. I'm not quite sure how to explain it. I was asleep, my conscious mind was asleep, and I was doing things, but even in that state of sleepwalking, I was still aware of where I was going and what I was doing.
Absolutely.
Even though it was kind of, the things I did were a little weird, like going to my brother's room and walking around the house and ending up in a closet. But thinking back on it, I was asleep but yet aware. So how would you explain that?
I would say, first of all, that ending up in a closet is much better and safer than ending up in a swimming pool. Sleepwalking. You are asleep, but you are in a twilight type of sleep. You are not awake, you are not asleep. You are in between. And in this state is when you can find yourself many times in other dimensions of what you call your reality. And in those dimensions, everything will seem real. And yes, you will be totally, fully, completely aware of yourself and what you are doing. But you will not be aware of how you created this state of being. It happens by itself because consciousness, listen closely, is always seeking itself out, which means simply that consciousness is always changing itself, becoming variations of itself so that it can know itself in a more complete form, just like your universe when it began. So what else, my friend?
How does consciousness influence the ego?
I don't know. Just kidding. The ego is a part of consciousness. They influence each other. Oh, he is such an egotistical so-and-so. Oh, she has a very big ego. Watch out for her. Stop it. Understand that the ego is just emotional expressiveness. This is all it is. Well, what about those people who think that they are all it? They are to themselves. They are all it. Without an understanding of what they really truly are. Now, if people could really understand what they are, completely and truly, they would understand themselves as being, and they would become the power of their own reality. The true creator of their own reality. And by that I mean they would not create with expectation, judgment. They would create with allowance and acceptance. And they would have a reality that gives them perfection, period. I'm waiting, my friend. What else do you have?
I was wondering.
You were sleepwalking.
Okay, I have heard many times.
More than that, I think.
Probably. There is a lot of speculation as to when the soul enters the body. In my experience as a medium, I know from experience that the individual who is coming into this physical life will be in and out of the body during the whole pregnancy. So there, in my opinion, there is no set point when the soul...
Is complete within the body.
Thank you.
You are right. There is no time element involved. This is completely, totally up to the soul. When the soul has had enough of the experience of, let me put it this way, jumping in and out of the body, then it will rest, he or she, the soul, will rest with the idea that the timing is right to just settle in the body and begin physical existence. But there is no time. No time. It is up to the soul.
Now, there's also a belief that many people have that if animals evolve enough that they could cross over to be a human being.
No.
If that, going along those lines, if that were to happen...
Did I say no too soon?
No, you did not. I'm just going a little bit further.
All right.
That would, it seems like it would kind of skew everything up, because also it is my belief that the animal kingdom is the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom is the plant kingdom, the fungi kingdom is the fungi kingdom. We stay human, and everybody stays in their own domain. Everybody stays in their own lane.
Absolutely.
And if there were to be crossovers, that would just be kind of crazy, wouldn't it?
Yes. Can you imagine walking down the street, minding your own business, and suddenly you see an individual walking toward you growing a flower out of his head? Plants do not become human beings. Animals do not become human beings. Human beings do not become plants. Human beings do not become it. Everyone stays, as Susanna said, in their own domain. But many people believe that animals evolve into becoming human beings. Now, what I can say about that is when you are in a state of non-physical existence, let us say when you die your physical death, don't be afraid, everyone will die, and it is a nice feeling. When you are in a non-physical state, then you can have the opportunity of experiencing the energy of an animal, maybe one of your past pets. The opportunity. You don't have to take it, but you can have. This is not a you will have. This is a you can have the opportunity to do that for a very short time. Then you go back to being a non-physical human being. Animals, especially dogs, can experience human beings by experiencing their emotions. They do it all the time. Well, pay attention to your animals, no matter what animal you have. If you are having anger, your pet will respond to that. If you are enjoying your day, having a good time, being in a good mood, your pet will respond to that also. But humans stay humans, animals stay animals, nature stays nature, plants stay plants, bugs stay bugs, and all the rest, all the way down the line.
You ready?
I'm waiting.
Okay. Would you explain how our soul, our essence, when we are in spirit form, in non-physical, where a person or an animal can splinter themselves and only have part of themselves become physical? And can someone splinter themselves into having, let's say, 3 physical lives at the same time?
This can happen. It's very, very rare. It can happen with human beings, and each splinter will live in an alternate dimension of any particular reality at the same time. Dogs have a knack of doing this all the time. So do cats. they die, they stay non-physical for a time, then suddenly people start thinking, I'm getting the feeling to look for a dog or a cat. I think having a pet would be a good thing. So you go out and you get a pet of your choosing, dog or cat or bird. Not too many people will have pets of insects, so don't worry about that. Pay attention to your dog. I will name this dog Sparky. But there is something different about Sparky. Sparky almost from time to time seems like Weldon, my past dog. Why do I feel that way? Because they have the ability to do that. They join together. Human beings don't do that. They can splinter and exist in alternate dimensions of a particular reality if they would like to do that. Very, 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 very rare. Many things happen to human beings that are very, very, very rare. And one thing that happens to human beings that is very, 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 very rare is they get to know themselves. They get to love themselves. But people do that. For some people it will take a lifetime or a couple of lifetimes to get to that point of loving the self. Some people can do it right away. It all depends upon how you would like to restructure the foundation of your reality so that you can exist in a reality of perfection, allowance, and acceptance. That is what this is all about. Splintering off the self, rare for humans, happens all the time with dogs, and usually with cats also.
I had discussed with you a reading that I had done with a woman, and she had told me her husband's family had just gotten a new puppy. And my dog, Betsy, who died many, many years ago, came through. And the information that I received was that Betsy was that dog. In our discussion together, when I asked you about that, it was only part of Betsy. So
Yes.
was that an example of what you were just talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'll put it this way, half Betsy, half the new dog.
Okay.
The new dog's identity, half and half. That is an easy way to say it.
Okay. And it surprised me because the only connection that was there was my reading with this woman who's come to me for readings many times, and that was the only connection. So it was just a little weird to me, not weird, but I didn't understand why that would happen unless Betsy was just coming through to let me know that she was still around.
Absolutely. There is no other reason, no other explanation.
Okay.
Just wanted to say, hi, I am still here.
Okay.
I am still with you. Because Betsy is with you, my friend. You know that.
Yes. Yes.
So the point of today is to talk about how to raise your consciousness. When I say that, what do you think about that?
The way that it's happened for me, and this may not be true for everyone,
And it won't be because everyone is different.
is that I have done it through life experiences, understanding my emotions, learning not to fear, and accepting all invitations that the universe has to offer without fear. To be open, to jump in the pool feet first, so to speak.
This would actually be the best way to raise your consciousness, just like Susanna just said. I would add one more thing. If you truly want to raise your consciousness, let it raise by itself. Get out of your way. Stop thinking you are a certain way. Stop thinking you do things in a certain way. Stop thinking you control your reality. Stop thinking all of those things and begin thinking not that you have, but you are complete freedom. You are, not that you have, but you are total acceptance, total allowance. When you can become those things, you will begin to feel differently. Emotionally, especially emotionally. You will shed the emotions that have not worked for you in a long time. They will be gone. You will be dealing with brand new emotional energy, and with and from that energy, you will be able to create new emotions that will create new beliefs that will serve you in your lifetime. So, to raise your consciousness is a very simple thing. Stop trying to figure things out. Things are the way they are. Leave them alone. Stop trying to figure yourself out. Stop trying to look for spirituality. Well, I want to become more spiritual. I have a need to become more. You are spiritual now. Leave yourself alone. This is all you have to do. Keep things simple. Simple works. Complications do not work. Susanna, thank you.
Thank you.
I thank all of you. This has been fun for me. I love all of you. Enjoy your day. We will see you again. Thank you.